Welcome into this edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready here on this Tuesday morning. Hope all of you had a wonderful and safe Memorial Day weekend. Talk some baseball today. Ole Miss getting into the NCAA Tournament. They are a 3 seed in Coral Gables, Florida. They open with the number 2 seed Arizona Wildcats, a team they, at least in jersey color and logo, familiar with from last season. It's a different Wildcats team. It's a different Ole Miss team from that super regional in Tucson last year. But Ole Miss opening with Arizona, playing Miami. We will talk about that, look at the bracket a little bit. Ole Miss basketball did add Robert Kirby to its staff for its final assistant coach as well. And SEC spring meetings beginning in earnest today in Destin, Florida. So that more coming up today and this week on the podcast. Podcast brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. It's May 31st. It's the last day of barbecue month with all Blue Sky locations in Mississippi. Remember, you can get some barbecue as cheap as 79 cents for a drumstick, going all the way up to a family pack. That's $19.99, where they give you a slab of ribs, they give you some sides, and fix you up for dinner there with the Oxford Exxon, again, in all Blue Sky locations in Mississippi. You get just the slab of ribs, the full rack, $16.99 if you'd like just the maybe the keto version of barbecue month here. This last day of May, again, coming up at the all Blue Sky locations in Mississippi, and again, competing from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. You get your quote. The rest is completely up to you. You can shop that quote around. Or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900. Guest join on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford. Great place to grab a burger, po' boy, appetizer, all that. Don't forget Rafters on the Water open now at out at Sardis. They had their big big summer kickoff over the weekend, so they're rolling now. If you, as the weather warms up, you can enjoy a lot of drinks and food and all that good stuff at Rafters on the Water, and also Rafters in New Albany.
Almost a really bad start to the morning. The top was not fully on the coffee as I turned it, and it about went all over me right there on air.
That would not be fun.
It would not have been a good start. It would take you ESPN 8 to see this, but I love that logo on your T-shirt. That's a really good logo.
Oh, the old Cub logo?
Yeah, the old Cub logo. It's good.
I really dressed up for the show today.
You did. You're in it.
I'm just...
It's summer. I mean, you know what? Memorial Day is here. You can wear all your white outfits now. They're good to go. After Easter, all the way to Labor Day. You're all good.
I've pretty much quit drinking coffee, so.
Really?
Yeah. I've gone from 3.
You went to black for a little while, straight.
I'll fix a cup, and I'll have 4 sips, and I'm done.
Probably good, because it means you're getting over caffeine a little bit.
Probably.
It's actually sort of coming out of your head, and that's not a thing. And I don't know that I'm much worse, but it's so habitual at this point that I just do it without even realizing whether I need it or not. But anyway, I don't know.
I mean, I can't criticize. I did it for 40 years.
I probably have too much is the thing. I mean, I probably 4 cups in the morning-ish, because I'll have 1 or 2 while I'm just kind of at home. And, I mean, that's full. That's 2 cups. So
I just started to realize how, what I'm doing, I can't have anything in it. So
right, yeah.
I just quit.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, now that we got that out of the way, again, Ole Miss getting into the tournament. They will open at 6 o'clock on Friday, weather permitting, against the Arizona Wildcats. Again, we were kind of talking about it at the media op yesterday, and it's 2 teams that look, in a lot of ways, nothing like they looked a year ago from Ole Miss and Arizona. And again, we'll get into the minutia, but I just kind of an off-the-top thought is, Jay Johnson's going to LSU. Barry went with him. Riley Cooper is down there as well. And then this Ole Miss team, obviously no Nikhazy, no Hoagland, an offense that, while it's the same guys, has looked completely different in a lot of ways. So, there's some name recognition to this. It's not exactly what's on the field. And it looks like we're going to be dodging some tropical storms this weekend that coming into that South Florida area. I always tend toward they get the games in. They even can push it to Tuesday if necessary. But, yeah, you could be dealing with some weather, it looks like, over the course of Friday and Saturday.
So Friday in Coral Gables, it's a 100% chance of rain, rainfall near an inch. Friday night, 100% chance of rain, 1 to 2 inches of rain expected. So, I mean, you got to at least consider that Friday's a washout. Saturday, chance of rain, 90%. Chance of rain Saturday night, though, 40%. So you start getting into that area where maybe you can get a game in. And then on Sunday, chance of rain, 40%. I think they're going to be fine. If you told me they didn't get finished until Tuesday, I'd buy it. But
from a competitive standpoint, look, I mean, Ole Miss has a path, and their path is to go 3-0 no matter when that is. The losers bracket will be very complicated for the Rebels no matter when they got there.
Yeah.
The issue with the rain is that it can make it where Brandon Johnson couldn't throw twice on a weekend. That is
right.
that is your frustration if you're an Ole Miss fan from a rain standpoint. However, frankly, Miami has the same issue. They're not great on the mound. They've got an ace, they've got a closer, but their middle's not great. Arizona's fine. They're okay. They're average. I mean, it's a winnable regional. Any of those any of those three teams could come out of this thing.
Every team's going to run into issues that, if you compress the tournament further, they're all going to have issues that pop up.
The selection committee set up some potential fun matchups in a super regional round. The opposite bracket for Ole Miss is Miami's the number 6 overall seed, by the way. Southern Miss, the number 11. They are the 1 seed. They will be in Hattiesburg. LSU is the 2. Kennesaw State is the 3, and I have no idea who the 4 is over there. But either way, it's Southern Miss, LSU, Kennesaw State. Getting asked this a lot on the chances of Ole Miss getting out. The only way they could host the Super Regional is if Kennesaw State or the 4 seed advanced. LSU, by virtue of being the 2 seed, would host Ole Miss in a Super Regional round in Baton Rouge, not Oxford. It does not go to bid if the seeds are different and both places have parks that are suitable for hosting. So LSU would host Ole Miss in a super regional round should it get to that, and Ole Miss would head back to Baton Rouge, much like they did. Obviously, Arkansas was a national seed or a 1 seed or whatever, but a couple years ago where you play 3 times in the regular season and then play super regional round in the postseason as well. The SEC gets 9 teams into the tournament. The top 9 seeds in the SEC tournament all made it. Alabama and Kentucky were frankly not even close to making the field. Ole Miss, the last team in. NC State, the 1 team that has a snub gripe. Frankly, nobody else's resume made any sense. Rutgers to a point, but the Big Ten's always going to be seen in that light a little bit. And we can get into this. There's a lot of different stuff. I know it's mostly Ole Miss centric today, but I thought Aaron Fitt had a column that was pretty interesting about the ACC and the Big Ten really getting popped by the selection committee and not having any representation on the committee. Those conferences do not have a voting member. And I made a joke yesterday, but John Cohen did absolutely help Ole Miss get on this field,
Sure.
being in the SEC representative, and that paid off as Ole Miss was the last team in the field. And the Army athletics director said by virtue of the quality of their series wins versus North Carolina State's quality of their series wins, pointing out Auburn and LSU among those for the Rebels. So there's that. I don't know.
It's like this in basketball too. That whoever the final team that gets in has flaws, and the last team out isn't a lot different from the team that got in. And so it comes down to people in the committee, and you can do the conspiratorial thing about Cohen, and maybe there's some truth to it. I don't know. I just got through listening to an American Scandal thing about conspiracies. So conspiracies are on my mind. But
okay.
Maybe that's part of it, and maybe it's just he would have fought for the league.
Well, yeah, he did his job. He did his job in a way. I mean, look, best case scenario, if you're trying to get one team in, is having a committee member who's really going to push for that team that's not in your conference, because he has to leave the room when they're discussing SEC schools, but obviously, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even really about the conspiracy. I mean, there's the thought out there that, oh, well, he was trying to save Mike's job. I mean, we're playing galaxy brain chess at this point, but he's supposed to represent the SEC, present those arguments, and Ole Miss getting in means he did that effectively.
And the league usually gets 9 teams in.
Yeah. Only getting 8 would have been.
It usually does. So to me, the more interesting thing that comes out of Selection Monday is the annual debate about, so what does the SEC tournament mean? And the answer keeps coming back to not much.
Well, Florida hosted
Florida
because of it.
Sure, it helped Florida.
It helps host. It doesn't help at-large teams. I think that's probably the overlying thing because Ole Miss in 19 hosted because of the SEC tournament. I think you can be a solid 2 and play your way into a host. I don't know that without some real significant circumstances, you can play your way onto the field.
Right. That's kind of my point.
But now here's the point to that, too.
Because Alabama and Kentucky both won a bunch of games, and it didn't matter.
What it comes out to is those little metrics that we run through. We say, okay, 6 of 13 get in. We've done all that stuff about if you got 13, if you got 14. Those are all really freaking accurate. What it means is that if you've got 14, that extra win helps. It kind of puts you over the hump. If you have 13, you can kind of get to 15 and be safe probably. That's where that 6 comes in versus the other ones that didn't. What it means, though, is for Alabama, if you have 12 or less, you're just not freaking getting in. It's last year, we're putting too much stock into the 2021 postseason when Alabama was 12-17. They won 2-2 in Hoover last year and then got in as a 3 seed in Ruston. But most of the conferences around the country didn't play non-conference games. We didn't have an apples-to-apples go graph people. We just had to put a bunch of at-large teams in a tournament. When you look at it opposite of that, you have to get to 13 to be on the bubble in the SEC. If you play decently in Hoover, you got a shot. And if you get to 14, you're probably okay as long as your RPI is okay. And Ole Miss's was. 38 is good enough. But, yeah, you can't just erase a regular season with a Hoover run. It does not work like that. Kentucky saw that. Alabama saw that. And you can move up a seed line, I think, probably with a large SEC tournament run. But, it took Florida getting to the finals probably. It wasn't like they could just hang around till Friday and be okay.
Right. If I'm Alabama, one of the things I'm having my people mention at the meetings today is, hey, these washed-out SEC games, we've got to be able to make them up.
Oh, and 100%. It's killing you because it's about win total.
Because they were tied in the 5th with Auburn. If you win that game,
you're 13.
You have a different resume.
You're 13-17, and you at least got a shot. Yeah, I mean, it's the fickle nature of the whole thing. If Ole Miss beats A&M one more time and gets to 15-15, they're probably a 2 seed today.
Sure.
Instead of whatever it was that happened over the course of that situation. Look, again, NC State's the one team that probably should be pissed.
Yeah, they have a beef.
16 ACC wins, 33 RPI, which it's not even really about them as much as it is if that's not safe, that's really interesting moving forward. I think that's probably more the interesting part of that is that defied the metrics. We've always said, ACC, SEC team at 33, and they got to 16. Oh, you're golden. You're all good. Well, that's not really the case. Because in the past, when really good RPIs have gotten left out in those power conferences, it's because they are 13-17 or something like that. LSU got left out one year with like a 27 RPI, but they were 13-17 in the league. And that was 2011, and that held them out. So that's interesting. But look, here's the bottom line. There is no hard and fast rule for multiple reasons. You're trying to put a group of at-large teams in every season, and all the resumes are not the same every season. It's not like you're just picking the exact same resumes off the thing. The 10 people change. 10 people have different opinions. The room changes on mood. I mean, there's so many different elements to where here's the bottom line. There are some hard and fast rules by conference that typically work. NC State bucked that, but for the most part, it's why Ole Miss got in. It's a lot of different things. Those are pretty standard. And at the end of the day, they put in the teams that they want to put in, and then they find a reason why they put them in.
Sure.
Let's just be honest here. It's not – because like I saw Mark Etheridge do this, and he's right. Yesterday, they really counted on non-conference strength of schedule. The teams with really good non-conference strength of schedules mostly got in. Well, except for Ole Miss. They were 94 in non-conference strength of schedule. That's not getting you in off of that metric. You put in the teams you want to put in, and then you have a justification on why you did it when you go on TV. This isn't rocket science. And that's not like conspiratorial or they're playing favorites. It's just, look, eye test matters. Who you are matters. I mean, Ole Miss probably got a bump yesterday because they're Ole Miss in baseball and they have Mike Bianco, who's the Team USA coach on their team. Probably did. Okay, it's life. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I get why NC State's pissed. I get it, but at the end of the day, yeah, I don't know. The SEC not well represented otherwise from a host site standpoint.
Nor should they have been.
No, Florida, Tennessee, Auburn, and A&M, 4.
Yeah, that's plenty.
A&M at the 5 national seed was interesting. That was pretty high. Florida at 13. Auburn, I don't even remember where they were.
15, I think.
Okay. Vanderbilt getting shipped all the way out to Corvallis as the 2 at Oregon State.
Yeah.
Thought that was an interesting spot for them. I am glad they didn't just send them to Louisville again, though. At least move them around,
Sure.
Go play somebody else. I thought that was of note.
Sent Florida State to Auburn for the 8 gazillionth time.
Auburn playing Florida State or Georgia Tech is pretty much just an
It's constant.
annual. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's an annual event for the most part there. So yes, I mean,
No, I thought the league was handled appropriately. That's about right. The league's not very good. There's one dominant team in the league. You saw that. And then there's kind of just a bunch of teams. And now we get to see whether any of them – I guess now we find out whether the league's any good.
we find out if college baseball is just like the rest of or just like the SEC, where
Yeah.
everybody's down for myriad reasons, whatever you want to make that out to be.
Yeah.
That's what you find out.
Yeah.
Look, Tennessee, the clear favorite. They got a pretty doable bracket for the most part. I'm not sure anything's not doable at this moment, though. I don't know how you could have even stacked it. Florida probably has the toughest regional top to bottom. Getting Liberty as a 3, getting Oklahoma as your 2, pretty complicated there in Gainesville. TCU, A&M, got a little sense of humor there. Schlossnagle playing his former team most likely in College Station, but geographically they had to send a Big 12 team to College Station. Now they chose for it to be TCU, but Tech, TCU, or somebody else, and I'm forgetting, had to go there. So it just is what it is.
Well, I say this not to belabor my point that college baseball games are too long and therefore often sometimes difficult to broadcast.
Sure.
But you do want to give some storylines.
Oh.
And so, you're trying to draw TV ratings, and frankly, you're trying to do a favor to your broadcast partners a little bit.
I mean, it's a lot of what's going on with some of these super regional matchups. You know what I mean? Hey, if you can get, because all those are on TV. The super regionals are all on ESPN,
Sure.
ESPN2.
Sure.
So at that point, hey, can we get Jay Johnson against his former team? Can we get Ole Miss LSU? Can we get Ole Miss Southern with the hostile environment in Hattiesburg? We've got to show Southern Miss, so at least make it maybe Ole Miss.
That's my point. So, I have no problem.
Because I think there is some of that. I think they get in the room and go, God, we get in a situation where if Miami loses Southern Miss, they're not going to draw. Well, put Ole Miss there.
Sure.
So if Miami loses, it's 50-50. It's the Rebels. And then,
Sure.
Sure. In worst case scenario, we get LSU at Miami. Well, we can play that now. We can make that work.
And I have no issue with that because a lot of times college baseball games end up going 4 hours, and broadcasters have – it's not a mainstream sport. They're not broadcasting all season long. Remember the Arizona Ole Miss series last year? The broadcasting was kind of rough. But in fairness to those guys, it was the first time they'd seen Ole Miss all year. They didn't know them. And so
it's also blowouts.
Yeah,
in 2 of the games, Ole Miss handedly in game 1. Game 2, and then Arizona in game 3. And
it's a scramble. So that happens. So I don't fault them. I actually kind of think it's people say, "Oh, it's being cute." I'm like, I don't know. It's being cute as much as it is just trying to help out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's and again, you got to send these teams somewhere. And doing anything to not send them to the same places over and over and over again, because you get into that kind of thing. So I don't know. We'll look at the bracket in a second. We'll talk a little about kind of what it meant yesterday. It was sort of an interesting day. That and more coming up in a second. First about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. They're getting local underwriting and understands your market. A leader in condo financing, the float down option, and more. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704. or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
We're brought to you by Holcomb Portable Buildings, 7991 Highway 7 South in Holcomb, Mississippi. At Holcomb Portable Buildings, they custom build your building to your specifications, however you want your carport, ATV, or storage shed, barn, hunting cabin, or other buildings. Holcomb Portable Buildings can accommodate you. You pick the color, the style, the windows, and the doors, and Holcomb Portable Buildings makes it happen. In-house financing is available. There's free delivery and setup within 75 miles of Holcomb. For more information, call 662-226-2233 or go to holcombbuildings.com or find them on Facebook or Instagram at Holcomb Portable Buildings. Did you know that Dead Soxy makes custom socks? I lost my spot. Sorry.
You're good.
Did you know that Dead Soxy makes custom socks? Whether you're rallying the team or building an empire, where you put your logo matters. You can't afford to put it on half-rate swag. Dead Soxy will help you create premium custom socks that you can stake your reputation on. Custom socks just might be the best promotional product you've never tried. Think about it. Every person you know wears socks every day, and they wear their favorite pairs a lot. On top of that, cool custom socks will make a lasting impression on clients, investors, employees, and donors. Don't worry about not having design skills. Dead Soxy does it all. They just design is always free. Just share your vision and they'll bring it to life. They'll create digital mock-ups of designs, present them to you before any orders are placed. The minimum order is 120 pairs of the same style. The lead time is 6 to 8 weeks. So get your project started at deadsoxy.com/custom. Mention this ad and you'll get $100 off all custom orders. deadsoxy.com/custom. My 10 weekend thoughts are up from about midday yesterday, I guess. They're brought to you by Game Changer Patches. They're the only 2-patch system available in the market to stop hangovers before they start. The warm-up patch is used before while you drink. The overtime patch used after you've been drinking to recover while you sleep. The all-natural ingredients will keep you in the game, ready for the next play. Go to GameChangerPatch.com, promo code RebelGrove20 at checkout for 20% off your purchase. Also, there's a new episode of the Peyton Chatney Show brought to you by The Rogue that's up here on our YouTube channel. Also, it's at rebelgrove.com. Like I said, it's brought to you by The Rogue 4450 I-55 North in Jackson, or therogue.com. Today's the final day to take advantage of their collegiate collection. Order any 2 collegiate collection items and get 20% off at The Rogue.
Podcast is brought to you by Johnston Hill Creamery. That's johnstonhillcreamery.com. Got an upcoming cheese class. That's Thursday, June 9th, 6 to 7:30. In this hands-on class, you'll learn tips and tricks to plan, prep, and style a beautiful charcuterie and cheese board. Refreshments and snacks are included, and your finished board will be boxed up for you to take home and enjoy later. It's limited to 12 people, so call them now and reserve your spot. That's 662-419-9201. Or email cheese at johnstonhillcreamery.com. Again, local cheese made in-house every single day just off Molly Bar on White Oak Lane. Again, that's 662-419-9201. So, I mean, yeah, look, they're not going to scrap the automatic qualifiers at any point. That just is what it is. So, and they shouldn't. That's fine. I mean, everybody knows the score. Have a little better resume and you get in. It's like I kept getting asked multiple times yesterday, hey, did Ole Miss deserve to get in? It's like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, at the bottom of the bubble, the top of the bubble, it doesn't make it. Nobody necessarily just paved their way in. Everybody has flaws and issues. So yes or no, depending on how you want to go about that sentence. I mean, you make yourself the 9th best resume in the SEC, you're typically getting in. That is kind of what it comes down to, and Ole Miss did that. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, deserved is a weird word there when it comes to bubble teams.
They're in. You get another shot. That's it. They're on the road. They'll have to go through Arizona to get to Miami. They have a very narrow path. But, yeah, they got an opportunity. So, to me, what's far more interesting at this point than the retrospective, did they deserve to get in, is what can they do with it? So, I mean, like you talked to a bunch of guys. I talked to Peyton yesterday. I mean, it was a new lease on life. I mean, they were excited.
Because that was organic. Look, the coaches knew. The players didn't know. All that was pretty organic for them going, oh, wow. Because I think in some ways the players thought they were just going to purgatory yesterday. We're going to go and have a meeting and sit here and watch the show. And
yeah, Peyton talked about that a lot on our show. They spent 5 or 6 days growing increasingly negative about their chances to get in. I think over the weekend they spent a lot of time together thinking that was the end.
Yeah.
And they get another chance.
Yeah.
And Peyton talked about how everybody was excited to go to practice, excited to go lift. What does that mean? I don't know. They get a chance. That's all you could ask for. And they get a chance.
Yeah, where and who, it did not matter at that point. Just get in the damn field and see what it looks like.
I mean, they just wanted to get in. It didn't. They had no. Certainly, talking about what they deserve. They didn't deserve an opportunity to say, "Here's where we'd like to go." No, you just get in, and it's a tough regional, but like you said, it's winnable.
It's not the worst one.
It's not horrible. It'd be tough. Miami's a good team. That's can be a tough place to play. Arizona's a good team, but they're not the team they were a year ago, and they haven't played particularly well of late.
Both teams, Miami has lost 6 of 8 down the stretch, and Arizona's lost 10 of 15 down the stretch. So, no, nobody's coming in white hot. It's when, like, East Carolina's won 18 in a row or whatever. This is not that from that standpoint. East Carolina and Cliff Godwin, by the way, getting a national seed. They'd won 18 in a row, but despite being only 2-7 against the top 50, I was a little surprised they got a top 8 there, given that. Notre Dame was the biggest host snub. They're headed as a number 2 to Georgia Southern, so they get a little bit of a gift. They play Texas Tech first, but that's a ridiculous road for Georgia Southern there. Georgia Southern, the 16th seed. They play Notre Dame, Texas Tech in their regional, and then they're paired with Tennessee in the Super. So good luck, Eagles, in that one.
God, a weekend in Statesboro. How exciting.
Yeah, that's the reward you get for your they do not snake pick this thing, by the way. There is no, hey, because you're this 2 seed, you're this. There is no strength of 2 and 3. They just put the numbers together. I mean, you typically don't see the number 1 overall seed getting some crazy path, but for the most part, that is not relevant to anything. It's just not. Florida gets Oklahoma Liberty and Central Michigan. Arkansas is in Stillwater. They play Grand Canyon first, and then get Oklahoma State, the number 7 overall seed. Georgia is in Chapel Hill. They play VCU first, and then North Carolina is their 1. VCU, Ole Miss has seen this season. Again, Southern Miss is Southern Miss, Louisiana State, LSU, Kennesaw State, and Army. And then we mentioned Vanderbilt is in Corvallis. They open with the San Diego Toreros. It's Chris Bryant's alma mater. And then Auburn, UCLA, Florida State, and Southeast Louisiana, who beat Ole Miss earlier this season. So there's that. Look, getting in, I know there was tons of stuff on the board. Obviously, Mike Bianco's job security has been the topic the last week or so. Was going to be the topic quickly if they had not gotten in yesterday. But getting into a regional does not change any big picture thing, in my opinion. So everybody who's going, oh my God, no, chill. It has no bearing on anything at all. It presents an opportunity for things to change, but in and of itself, that changed nothing yesterday. Calm down.
It always tells me either people aren't listening or they just don't believe us.
Yeah, just chill.
At which point, I can't help you.
Yeah, there was a weird sense of panic yesterday. It was like they got into a tournament.
We've pretty much said all along, at a minimum, they must get to a super regional. That still holds. So if they go win a road regional and they're playing next week, it's probably a slightly different conversation.
Yeah, it gets a little different there. Maybe not all the way. But I don't know.
21 previous seasons, 20, because I'm not going to hold 2020 against him because it
can't do that one. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not won a road regional.
Only played to go to a super regional on the road once, 2012, TCU.
Yeah.
Otherwise, haven't even sniffed it. I mean, they have an under 500 record in regionals away from Oxford over the course of those seasons.
And you know what? I'm going to give Hardman credit here.
Yeah, sure.
Because the earlier statement that I said I still maintain, we've been very consistent journalistically on this. But he says it's hard to believe when there wasn't change in basketball coming off of that season. So I get it. I understand that.
I think Keith made the wrong decision there. And I'm not even disagreeing, really. I think it's more podcast devil's advocate. Those two teams, for right or wrong or whatever, have different expectations. Right, wrong, or indifferent. You can call that whatever you want to call it, but it's the truth.
It's true, but it's wrong.
I'm not arguing.
Right,
but
right.
That is the situation.
Yes. Oh, I'm not arguing
there is
that.
100%. And this is not, again, it's not defending Keith. I'm just even pointing out differences. There's a difference in 4 years and 22 years.
Oh, boy, we could get into semantics here. There is.
And that's not even advocating for Mike to be whatever. I'm just saying it's not a complete apples to apples situation from a perspective standpoint.
Yeah.
Mike has created an environment where the expectation is super regionals in Omaha, period.
Yeah.
The expectation in basketball is never Sweet 16, Elite 8.
No. There's just a lot there.
I mean,
there's just so much there. The whole idea, well, the fans don't care about basketball, so we shouldn't either, is something that I intellectually find difficult to wrap my brain around. And as someone who's not – I don't consider myself a very smart person.
Okay, go ahead.
Because the fans, quote, don't care, which is flawed because I've seen fans care.
I know the place has been active.
But even that argument, well, the fans don't care. Okay, then why the hell do you have a volleyball team? Because they don't care about that either. Why do you invest any amount of money into women's basketball? Because that's documented that nobody gives a damn, with the exception of a handful of, frankly, old men who it's something to go do on Sunday. I mean, literally, it's that small. So if that's the standard, and that's what people give, well, there's a little different expectation about institutionally as a program, you should have an expectation. And there's no question which sports move the dial in terms of student involvement, in terms of enrollment, in terms of kids having interest, the things that matter, right? It's football's king, far and away. And then after that, it is men's basketball because of the tournament. Sure. The tournament's wildly successful. Every single March, we all do our brackets. Well, everybody watches the tournament. And if you're at a school that is a team that ends up being a tournament team, they usually had a pretty good January and they usually had a pretty good February. And sometimes those are big visit months for high school kids, and those become the front door to your institution when football doesn't play in January and February and March. They don't. No one comes to spring games. Don't give me that. So there's this gap between obviously football and the next football season that typically basketball's kind of what fills it. There's not a lot of kids might go to orientations and stuff, but for the most part, kids start doing college visits January, February. Those are big visit weekends, junior days and stuff.
Sure.
Well, a lot of times those are built around basketball weekends. They try to get people to go to basketball games, to see student environments and stuff. The whole punting on basketball because, well, the people here don't really like basketball is just – it's.
And I don't think that would be the reasoning. I don't think that's necessarily the argument. I mean, look, I think it was the wrong financial move, but I think there was a financial element to it. I think there was just kind of punting the decision a little bit, if you're honest.
Yeah.
I guess my point is I don't know that goes all the way to nobody cares. It's.
Let me be clear here. Nobody like Keith or anybody has ever said that.
I know.
I hear that. I hear that from fans. Well, nobody cares about basketball. We really care about baseball.
And the overwhelming point I guess I was making is that baseball, because of Mike's success, is going to carry a general higher expectation from the standpoint of, Kermit can absolutely, Mike is going to get fired, or the next coach or whomever. The Ole Miss baseball coach is going to get fired if he just makes the tournament and does nothing else.
Sure.
The basketball coach might not.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
I mean, if Kermit or whomever the Ole Miss basketball coach is had 18 postseasons and 7 Sweet 16s and an Elite 8 over the course of 21 years, the pavilion is renamed and there's a big statue out front.
Sure. No question about that. I think that it's the juxtaposition of, 2 of the last 3 basketball seasons have been pretty shaky. And compared to kind of what Mike's done, it's that whole – I was kind of saying, defending the fans who are like, well, I'll believe it when I see it because nothing happened in basketball. When most people would have looked at that and said, I don't know that we're heading in the right direction here.
And yeah, I mean, J.M. makes a good point. Expectations don't have to be equal. I'm not even arguing that all expectations should be equal at all. I mean, not even a little bit. I I think you have to look at your resources and your situation across every sport and go, okay, can we be? I mean, Kansas can't sit there and go, nope, I'm firing the football coach because he's not doing what Bill Self's doing.
Of course.
And I'm taking the hyperbolic number one example in the country.
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm
pretty hyperbolic. There's a lot there.
That was a low hanging fruit there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the one. But I mean, look, seriously though. I mean, Alabama basketball doesn't have the expectation of Alabama football, even though Nate Oates is very good. They're not firing Nate Oates because he doesn't win 6 national titles.
And you're not firing Brian Bohannon because he doesn't make the NCAA tournament every year.
No, not even a little bit. You know, Mark Stoops is never going to be seen on John Calipari's level from a what is required standpoint. And that's football. That's a moneymaker.
I wonder, not today, I do wonder whether Mark Stoops has raised the collective expectation at Kentucky by winning in football the way that he has.
Sure, yeah.
By showing that
6-6 is no longer as palatable. Sure.
Yeah, it would be considered failure.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I guess that's the thing. You can change expectations off of a coach.
Yeah.
And then that becomes the expectation, you know.
I guess that's kind of, oh, God, I don't need to make these enemies because I don't mean for it to be argumentative with anybody. But like Andy's standard at Ole Miss was they were always competitive. They were always on the bubble. Didn't get in much, but they were always on the bubble. And then when they had the season where they fell way off the bubble, it was over. Mm-hmm. And there was more to it than that. But
sure.
I guess that's my point is that
I don't – maybe you remember this, and I'm actually going to apologize if I misspeak because I don't remember the exact conversation. But I want to say back during the Andy years, I was talking to Michael Thompson about it. It was like, what is the basketball expectation? And I want to say the department expectation was every other year. It was either 1-2 or 1-3, and I don't remember which one. But I felt like that's the standard they had put on the basketball program at that point. Now, again, that's not today's regime. That's not Keith. I don't know. That's Ross and Michael. But I'd had a conversation with Michael about that kind of at the end of Andy's tenure, and it seems like that's what sticks out, for sure. I don't know. I mean, what do you think is baseline doable for Ole Miss men's basketball
right now?
If everything's clicking, they're never going to be Kentucky, but they cannot suck. So, what is the baseline in that huge middle?
I don't know.
It's so hard to say. I mean, I don't.
Depends on what you think, what you really believe about NIL with basketball, what you really believe about the new landscape with college basketball, what type of investment is required. I think at Ole Miss you have to have a coach who's really good in the portal. I think in many ways,
football model.
Yeah, I was going to say in many ways, I think Lane is providing a model for what you could do in men's basketball. You've got to be really active in the portal, I suspect.
And you can be competitive without a crazy amount of money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're doing it in football without a crazy amount of money.
Yeah. And in basketball, 1 or 2 dudes makes a difference. I mean, it's
I mean, I was looking at I think Trey Biddy had it. He used to be with Rivals. He's at 247. And I don't think he wrote it. I just saw where he tweeted it. And I looked at it. They were the kind of the very early SEC rankings, and they had Ole Miss at 8 or 9 in the league. So, you know, I mean, that's kind of where they were last year, expectations, and then they fell off. And
sure.
Anyway, we're a long way from that, obviously, but
Kenneth says we spent $96 million in Pavilion. You have to get something at some point in return. Well, the return on the Pavilion would be season ticket sales and money revenue to pay for the Pavilion. That is not NCAA Tournament from a return standpoint.
Yeah.
And they also just had to have a new arena because you're in the SEC and you needed another venue.
They did. The people that
I mean, Alabama's not going, hey, we built the baseball stadium to host regionals. We built the baseball stadium because we just had to build a baseball stadium.
Yeah. Tad Smith was not maintainable any longer.
You had to. I mean, you're in this league. You have to make.
I mean, the truth is, Ole Miss was 10 years late.
Sure.
On building a new pavilion,
sure,
or building a new basketball arena. The Tad Pad was inexcusably bad. It was not maintainable anymore. The league was beginning to bitch about it. everyone knew it. For Ole Miss, it was an embarrassment.
Ole Miss is improving its football and baseball stadiums to increase fan experiences and because of success and different things. They built a basketball arena because they thought it would help in some recruiting ways, and also they had to have it. They're building a softball stadium because they have to. They're building, you know what I mean? Like, it depends on what venue we're talking about, on what the necessity is in that circumstance. Yeah, basketball's complicated.
It's real complicated, sure. It's a really hard job.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not a cop out from talking about it.
No, it's a really hard job. If you were to poll 100 basketball coaches around the country and get them to rank SEC jobs, I don't think Ole Miss people would like where Ole Miss would finish.
Potentially last.
I mean, yeah.
History says Georgia might be worse. Shouldn't be. I don't understand, but at some point, you are what the record says you are.
Yeah. But I think if you were to take 100 coaches with no SEC ties and say rank the SEC jobs 1 through 14 on a blind thing with just here, you do it right now, no outside influence, I think, 13, 14, such a hard job.
Yeah.
As opposed to if you said 100 baseball coaches rank the jobs, Ole Miss would not finish 13th or 14th. No. If you said football coaches rank the Ole Miss jobs, Ole Miss would not finish 13th or 14th. They'd finish somewhere in the 9 range, I would suspect.
Yeah.
Which is a lot different than finishing 14.
Yeah.
And when you add Texas and Oklahoma, now you become 16.
And in football and baseball, when you're in that range, you have the chance for runs that are first, second, third, fourth. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you're in elevation.
Sure.
It's much harder to elevate to that level from 13 or 14.
Sure.
You're having to really get efficient in some stuff.
Borderline impossible.
Yeah, right. It's a whole different standard on what your ratios are, high and low at that point.
Yeah.
So. Podcast brought to you in part by Northeast Spark, NESPARC, 2 packages, the Ignite, the 100 Mbps, or the Blaze, the 1 gig that powers the Clarkport studio. I've got it home as well. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband. That's NESPARC.com, 662-238-3159, phone service, parental controls, network security, and more. With the best internet in Lafayette County. Again, give them a call, 662-238-3159.
Automation and Control Systems, LLC, is based in Baldwin, Mississippi. It's a complete electrical control system solution provider and a Rockwell Automation recognized system integrator. They have a full-time dedicated emergency service and troubleshooting staff and a UL 508A panel shop. They can custom tailor software packages, custom design electrical control panel solutions, and much more. It's ACSLLCMS.com or call 662-601-4381. We're brought to you by Lammon's Fine Jewelry. Lammon's at 1126 North Lamar Boulevard in Oxford has been serving the Oxford area for almost 75 years. Engagement rings, wedding rings, fine jewelry, watches, pearls, fashion jewelry, children's jewelry, collectibles, and more. It's the gold standard in fine jewelry. Visit them at lammonsfinejewelry.com or call them at 662-234-2777. Brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Same great names. Same great products, same different names, same great products, same services. If you live in Oxford, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call the people at Southern, 662-429-4429. The College Corner is your one-stop Rebel Shop, 2 locations in the Jackson area in Ridgeland. It's next to Fleet Feet and Flowwood. It's next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, just go to collegecornerstore.com. Plus, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Largest selection of Rebel gear in Central Mississippi. We're brought to you by Pinnacle. Pinnacle, home to the Pinnacle 401k Advisory Services team. Get in touch with them. They'll conduct a complimentary, no-obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. Mention that you heard about Pinnacle on the podcast, and they'll take care of you. At Pinnacle, a box is built just for you. To learn more, go to mypinwealth.com. Also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you're thinking about traveling this summer, you still have plenty of time to make a special trip, one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. Just get in touch with John. Give him some parameters. Give him a budget. He'll give you options that you won't find on your own. And no, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of the services. 901-494-3387 or send him an email at jedwards@regencytravel.net. And we're brought to you by OPA, Oxford's newest restaurant on the square. They have a delicious menu featuring gyros, wraps, kebabs, redfish, lamb chops, and more. Handcrafted cocktails, frozen libations, and amazing candlelit patio. All of that at 306 South Lamar, just south of the Square Courthouse in Oxford. And we're brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Great lease deals as well. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com.
Podcast also brought to you by Prime Shrimp, primeshrimp.com. Use code MPW to get $20 off your first order. That's restaurant quality shrimp shipped right straight to your door. They take care of you with 5 different flavors, including the new most recent ones. They've got Simply Shrimp that you flavor yourself. It's great for kids. Let you put on it what you need for everybody in the family, and also garlic herb butter flavor. They can put that on rice, pasta, veggies, plenty of different things, including shrimp scampi. Throw it over a steak there with primeshrimp.com. My favorite is the signature. You make salads and different things with that. It's kind of an all-purpose, kind of a garlic flavor. Good with everything there with primeshrimp.com. Again, $20 off at your first order using code MPW, primeshrimp.com. Let's see. Taking the stream for a second. Yeah, I mean, Auburn had more success than Ole Miss over time, for sure. I mean, they had Person and Barkley and dudes and NBA presences and things.
I covered Auburn as a beat writer for 6 years, and they went to 2 Sweet 16s. They were a number 1 seed in the tournament.
Yeah, and Ole Miss has been a Sweet 16 team once.
And Ole Miss has never been higher than a 4 seed in the tournament.
I think that's correct, yes.
I mean, it's just, that's not accurate. I mean, there's just the NBA presence difference between Auburn and Ole Miss is stark.
Ole Miss has not been a bad college basketball team outside of a couple seasons. It just hasn't elevated into much more than that.
Right.
You know, missed an opportunity in 13. You had the Sweet 16 right there.
Yep.
You had it on your hand with a minute to go against LaSalle.
Yeah.
Win the game.
Yeah.
Try to. Sometimes you kind of need that. You need something to elevate. Need that thing. I mean, you know, Andy, it's a lower level here, and we're going to get off this because it's not really relevant to today at all. But, you know, Andy kind of blew that opportunity, as dumb as this sounds, against Georgia Tech in the freaking NIT that year.
Oh, for sure.
Because everybody was here and they were in,
sure.
and you've got to capitalize. When you get that opportunity to get, whether you should have to do that for the fans to be involved, that's a whole other conversation
sure.
and not the point.
Sure.
When you get it there, you've got to do it. It's what early on Andy did pretty well. It's what Barnes and Evans did back in the day, is they won the West a couple times and they went to the tournament and they did all these different things. You've got to do that. I mean, you saw it's a lower level example, but I mean, you saw that with Yo. Everybody showed up for the Tennessee game and they kind of got popped against the Vols that day, and that was sort of it. And it sputtered the rest of the season. They had the ranking of the thing for one day, and it died after that. So yeah, you got to capitalize when those opportunities come in those sports where it's not just an automatic, we're headed in, we're going to this. I mean, look, Mike did that in baseball. If he sucks in 01 and 02, that thing doesn't get off the ground as easily as it did at that point. I mean,
they win one
sense.
of the 2 games against Tennessee Tech, I'm not sure we're having this conversation.
They still lose the Super Regional?
I don't know.
They lose the Super Regional, I think we're still having the conversation. Because your problem does not change. It even adds one.
But the Tennessee Tech thing changed the narrative for a long time. I think even to this day. The
Tennessee Tech series, I don't know if you'll agree with this or not. We've never talked about it. When you talk about what got Ole Miss to this day, from a Mike Bianco standpoint, that we're even having his job security conversation.
Yeah.
The Tennessee Tech loss in series is exponentially more important than the LSU thing last summer.
Absolutely.
Not even close.
No, not close.
Frankly, I don't know that the average fan gives a shit about the LSU thing. They really care about the Tennessee Tech thing.
Yeah.
To this day, that was the team. We're back at home against Texas next week. We get to avenge that.
Yeah, because it was well, and
when if you could get back to Omaha in 18, losing these super regionals is like, okay, good program. We're here.
Sure. Yeah, and it's just one day.
One day.
It was one really bad day.
It was a bad day.
But it was big, and I think I think it was the turning point negatively. Because for so long, the argument was, well, the reason that they just can't get over the hump is they have these scholarship limitations. But you have far more resources than Tennessee Tech.
Look,
and you couldn't beat them. And so even if they'd beaten Tennessee Tech and then lost to Texas, for example,
yeah,
there would have been disappointment and all that stuff. But, Texas is a big national storied program. I mean, Texas has a pretty damn big brand.
Yeah, Texas and Ole Miss would have been that's a heavyweight series.
Yeah, and so if you lose, you lost a heavyweight fight. When you lose as a heavyweight against the scrappy little welterweight, something feels off. And that's what happened that day. And I don't think they've ever recovered from it.
Mike Bianco's problem is not losing to high-ranked power programs. It's not – look, I'll try to be as quick as possible about this. Is Ole Miss is where they stand in the SEC from a resources, a scholarship, all that stuff. Don't nobody screams. I said the word scholarships. I have a point. Makes it very hard for Ole Miss to consistently finish first, second, third in the SEC, where you're getting the power national seed and you're rolling on these levels to that extent. I mean, Ole Miss, in 22 seasons under Mike Bianco, they've only been a national seed twice, 2005, 2018.
Yeah.
Number 4 and number 5.
Mm-hmm.
The 18, that was their highest national seed spot in Mike Bianco, in program history, frankly. So, point being, I get that limitation, and I think it's very relevant. I think it's hard for Ole Miss to consistently be the best team in the SEC.
Sure.
However, Mike Bianco's downfall is not even necessarily the Texas, the Virginia. It's not Texas. It's not Arkansas. It's not Arizona.
Sure.
It's that in 06 against Miami, they lost to a 2 seed in the Super Regional. Miami was not a host.
Mm-hmm.
They won a Nebraska Regional to come to Oxford. In 2009, Virginia had as much demons as Ole Miss over the course of history with College World Series. So they were a 2 seed. They were in UC Irvine the week before and then came to Oxford. Ole Miss was the better team both those times, at least from a resume standpoint. Ole Miss has lost regional games to William & Mary twice, Cal State Bakersfield, Utah, Tulane, Western Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
It's those games that have haunted Mike Bianco, because if you
Sure.
go and win a couple regionals on the road where you just are the hot SEC 2 seed that's hell for somebody,
Sure.
well, then suddenly you're playing more super regionals and you're getting more opportunities and you're winning more games and you're exciting fans that
Sure.
we don't have this very narrow window to get there because we have to host and we have to go 3-0 in a regional. Now, do you have to go 3-0 because you have one less arm? Again, not the point.
Right.
The point is you're better than a lot of teams you are losing to over the
Yes.
course of his tenure in the postseason.
Yes, it's not the Texas
And
Super
Tennessee
Regional,
Tech
it's-
was the big mallet
Sure.
on top of that whole argument when it's
Sure.
Tennessee Tech.
Sure. I mean, most teams lose Game 3 of a Super Regional in Fayetteville.
Yeah,
Most teams
Maryland,
lose.
Cal State, Bakersfield, they lost all those teams. in
Most
regionals.
teams lose Game 3 of a Super Regional in Tucson. It is what it is. But yeah, Tennessee Tech was a big. It was a shift. Frankly, to the point where I think the only way that he recovers from it is to go play that role. Go to Coral Gables, win a regional. Go to Hattiesburg or Baton Rouge and win a super regional as a road team. All of a sudden, a lot of that goes away at that point. Well, son of a bitch, he just did it. Otherwise, it just keeps coming, and that's that thing that just stands there.
Yeah, I mean, tied for in the old SEC, he's tied for 9th in College World Series appearances during his time. While he's the top 5 highest paid coach in the country.
Yeah.
Most SEC schools would not go 22 seasons with one Omaha appearance. They really invest in baseball. Get not to my Alabama or something.
Sure.
Like that.
Sure. Well, again, it's add Texas and Oklahoma to the mix here, and if you polled 100 college baseball coaches around the country and said rank the jobs, Ole Miss would finish 8th-ish, 9th-ish. Well, you can surge from there. That's different than being 15th.
Because you put them in but you add those 2 teams in. I think right now Ole Miss is, depending on your day, 7-9.
Yeah.
And they're not as good of a job as Texas, and they're a better job than Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And so you can move from that spot. If you're in the middle of the pack, you can move to the front. If you're 15th, it's going to be really hard to get to 3rd. Like, really hard. Like, it ain't happening. Kentucky's never going to be Kentucky's never going to be a top 4 job in the league. It's always going to be an underdog job in baseball. But you can.
So Mitch Barnhart sets an expectation, and whatever that expectation is, you play off that expectation. You can raise it over time, but
Sure.
that is that baseline.
Sure.
like I'm going to write about it later in the week. It's a fascinating regional from that standpoint. It's actually the storyline that I find, because I think I like, not from a it matters standpoint, but just from a standpoint of demons and history and different things. This weekend's really interesting for me because Mike is absolutely coaching for his job. And he gets, it's Miami, which in 06 was a super regional he really needed to win right there at that point of his career. It's in 2008. It's not that they didn't beat the number one overall team in the country in Coral Gables. It's that was a team that was number 2 nationally early in the year, much like this year, and just fell freaking apart and couldn't sustain at one point there. It's an Arizona team where if he wins one game last year, we're not having this conversation right now. You get through that, and it's, Southern Miss has been better than you inside the state. You got to go through them. It's LSU with all that shit. This is a hilarious bracket in a way from, hey, Mike, here's the path to saving your job. Chalk off these demons one by one as you go down this road right here. I mean, it's a Tennessee Tech or a Texas away from being a full slate of just what's hit him over the past. I mean, it's
yeah. Oh, like you said, he has a chance to exercise a lot of demons in 2 weeks. Sure.
He was on the field for Miami's worst moment ever. He was the third base coach when Warren Morris hit the home run in 95 or 96 in the World Series final. Yeah, he was an assistant at LSU. Because the picture is, Cora laying down in the outfield is what everybody remembers from Morris hitting that ball.
I actually watched.
I saw that live back in the day.
They had the rain delay of one of the games over the week in Hoover, and I guess I was too lazy to go change the channel, or I might have been on a Peloton ride or something, and it was just on. It was a Skip Bertman documentary. I saw this. Yeah, I was working during a little bit of it. It was good. It was well done.
It actually was really, really well done.
Yeah. I have no idea. I have no clue. The questions about did something happen at Funky's? I have no idea.
No Hablo Inglés. I don't know. I have no idea.
I truly don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, nope.
I've gone out in Oxford once this calendar year, so there's no way I would know that. If you don't know it, I sure don't know it.
I don't know it and haven't tried to know it.
No, don't care.
That's my move on that one.
Kenneth's right. There was a lot to that Texas Tech thing. It was Tennessee Tech, I should say. Texas was going to be in Oxford that next weekend, and Oxford was going to be an absolute zoo. And then it wasn't. And so there was there was an anticipation for just a. It was going to be a huge weekend. I mean,
because you have to also put a mindset on this, okay? Like we forget this a little bit. It's a relevant topic for today. We forget this a little bit now looking back. We just go, oh, well, yeah, that was a good Ole Miss team that really should have done something. It's beyond that. It's you win in 14, you had a rebuild in 15, you sucked in 16. So you hosted a regional. Actually, Mike had one of his better coaching jobs in 16. He put a roster together that was not overly good and played really well. But they go 0-2 in their own regional. There's a lot of kind of, hey, was this a one-hit wonder? Can he get it back at all? Is this the end a little bit after they lost to Utah and Tulane there in that Oxford Regional? And they signed that signing class. And they signed the number one signing class for the first time in school history, the very first number one signing class in any sport in school history with Gray and Thomas and all those guys. And in 17, you get the pass because they're all freshmen. They weren't very good, but, hey, they come on at the end of the year, and you can see it. Sure. Rollison's and Feigl and all those guys, and, hey, it's gonna be what it's going to be. And then 18 was when it was supposed to pay off. It's everything we're talking about, but in addition to that, it was supposed to be that charge into the next chapter. And then when you lose to Tennessee Tech and you don't get that week against Texas and you're a national seed that flounders and frankly was kind of embarrassing in baseball circles across the country that weekend.
Yeah, sure.
It's same old. It was not even season or program deflating. It was kind of era deflating from that standpoint of everything going on at the time.
But I remember that next weekend when it was supposed to be crazy, and instead it was dead. And there was like it was kind of a funeral.
It was,
and it was weird. It was like, hey, boy, these are.
And Tennessee Tech won game 1 in Austin, and you went, God, Texas was beatable. Like, you know what I mean? You kind of do this.
Yeah,
go,
well, but and just beyond that, though, I mean, just there's a mood swing that happens. There are just losses for teams, for franchises that alter the course of things. I mean, where if you go back and change that and revisit the timeline, it looks a lot different. And that was one of those days. No doubt about it.
Pierce was the coach then.
It was absolutely one of those days, and I don't know that they've fully recovered from it.
Well, there is no recovery from it unless you go on runs.
Yeah, well, if one of the, they lost the 2 super regionals, one in Fayetteville, one in Tucson. Maybe if you win one of those, it goes away. But when you have those kind of days, it's like I remember telling people when the Virginia thing happened, and somebody's like, "Oh, how long does this hurt?" I'm like, "A long time," because it was, I was like, it's like the Bartman game with the Cubs. I remember I wrote that column that this is going to hurt for a long time. This doesn't go away. This and
we didn't know fresh. How long because the roster had gotten so decimated. That was the last of Dan's guys that were on that team, and they had a complete 3 or 4 year of before it kind of got back.
Where it was like, this is going to take you a minute to get over, and it did. Took you. That was 2009. Took you 5 years. That didn't go away until you beat Louisiana Lafayette in that game 3. That's the first day that
cleansed that
the Virginia thing washed away. And so now I think they're still waiting to wash away Tennessee Tech, and it just hasn't happened.
Oh, you've added on. There's malignancies. There's more super regional losses.
Although, again, those super regional losses are understandable. They are. They're absolutely understandable.
You lost to better teams both times.
On the road in difficult places to play.
Yeah.
And so had you beaten Tennessee Tech, and let's say you'd gone to Omaha that year and still lost at Arkansas and still lost at Arizona, we wouldn't be having this conversation. No. You'd be going, well, yeah, those teams were better. Because they were. Arkansas was better than Ole Miss.
You'd reframe 19. Mike did a really good coaching job to get them there.
Bingo.
Pretty good.
That's exactly right. Had
he gone and finished 3rd in the country in 18, we're going, okay, well, whatever.
You'll be the one writing the autopsy, the obituary, if one's written. If I were writing one,
better get to work on it.
If I were writing one, I think that's where I'd start.
18.
Yeah, on that Monday. Because I think if you change that Monday, everything's different. There's no angst even this weekend. But, yeah, they made it. They got in. How about that?
The argument to that the other way, maybe not. Would people still be as pissed had they gone 3 or 4 times in the first part of the tenure? Are we in the same place had they gone in 5 and 9?
No, you'd have people bitching, but they wouldn't have the argument they have. Because their argument is Omaha, right? And so if they'd been in 5 and been to 9, you'd be like, well, they've been to Omaha 3 times in 22 years, which is
not great, but
yeah. One, when you go, hey, he's only gone once. No one goes, he's only gone 3 times. No one does that. But it's why I do it is the overall 1 in 22.
Well, it's just funny, though. It's hilarious. And I'm not even saying people are wrong. It's whatever. But, yeah, we're having a different conversation if Stephen Head hits a ball over a wall.
Sure.
17 years ago.
Sure.
And 13 years ago, Evan Button catches a ground ball. Neither one of those things have zero impact on today's program at all.
None
it doesn't change who Mike is as a coach.
No.
But that's life. I mean, I'm not.
Of course.
It's not justification. It's just.
But modern, it's the Tennessee Tech.
It
is. It's that day.
Yeah.
It's that day. And I always go back and remind
14
people.
reset everything, and then everything since 14. Yeah. That's the day.
That's the day.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a weekend.
Well, they were good.
It was a day. And it was an angst, and it was a feeling.
It's like a movie where you get up one morning and something's not quite right, and your shoelace breaks. You know what I mean? And the day just kind of starts off, and you go, oh. And then
and there was just this mood in the
doesn't help when you get beat 10-0 in the opener. 10-0.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Well, maybe 11-1 was the final.
There was just a mood that built.
They were down 10-0. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, there was just a thing that built over the course of that day that was palpable.
Nick Fortes woke up and had a handmade issue. Like, it was just stuff. It was just kind of, yeah.
So, anyway. I don't know. It's why in many ways I think it's in their best interest. I actually think they have a better chance with this team playing away from Oxford than they do in Oxford.
Right.
I believe that firmly.
Well, history's shown that.
It might not mean anything because they might just not be good enough.
Sure.
They might just not have enough pitching to get through.
Sure.
But if you told me that this team, if you had told me 2 weeks ago this team was going to make a run, I would say they need to do it on the road.
Yeah, sure. Podcast brought to you in part by G&M Pharmacy. Med packs are becoming increasingly popular, especially for those helping their parents manage their medications. You know what we're talking about. Med packs are basically monthly pill planners. They're prepackaged by the pharmacy by date and time. Each morning pouch is followed by an evening pouch and so on. The guys over at Tyson Drugs and G&M have been offering med packs for over a decade, and they're available here in the Oxford community on South Lamar. So give them a call. Visit today to get started. They will hook you up with that. They'll also transfer your medications with one call. They make it easy. They take care of the rest. That is 662-236-2222.
I'll have a mailbag up tomorrow at rebelgrove.com. It's brought to you by Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all of your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. She sells condos, land, commercial, and residential family homes. You can reach her at 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844. We're brought to you by Service Specialist Staffing and Recruiting Agency, connecting great job opportunities to candidates since 1967. If you're on the job hunt, whether you're seeking an entry-level position or you're a seasoned professional, they have opportunities across the board. If you're in IT, engineering, dentistry, accounting, law, manufacturing, whatever, they can help you if you're looking for help. They get to know you. They see your strengths, see what you're looking for in your next career move, help you find the right fit. It's always free for the candidate. Conversations are kept confidential, so you have nothing to lose by giving them a call. It's Will, Sydney, or Kelsey at 662-832-5138. Or check out their new and improved website at servicespecialistltd.com. Don't just accept what you see, but imagine something new. Step forward, chase after a better version of yourself. Every day, Corinth Dental is helping people reinvent themselves one smile at a time. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures, including Invisalign. These clear aligners are the virtually invisible way to improve your smile. So call Corinth Dental today for a no-cost digital scan of your teeth. Let them show you the way to a straighter, healthier smile. 12 months, no interest, no down payment, financing available at corinthdental.com. Brought to you by Bell & Grove. Based out of Chattanooga, Daryl Oliver and Evan Dial built Bell & Grove. It's a logistics provider with more than 35 years of transportation industry experience. They specialize in domestic freight movement throughout the continental U.S. They can navigate through supply chain issues while also leaning on their partner carriers to get the most competitive rates possible for their customers. In addition, Bell & Grove can help customers design a custom solution for their shipping needs. Whether your business is in need of moving a truckload, a partial shipment, or a flatbed, Bell & Grove can accommodate you. They also provide both air and ground expedited services for customers who need to move product quickly. For more information, call Daryl Oliver at 865-672-6557. And we're brought to you by Southern Traditions Farm. It's a 68-acre, 32-stall, upscale equestrian training and boarding facility in Canton, Mississippi. Sand rings, a grass ring, miles of wooded trails, so much offered there. Horseback riding offerings, from beginner lessons with trainer Susan Walt to buying your first horse and competing at nationally recognized competitions. They've got the teachings of one of the best young professionals in the sport, Bowers Cone, at their disposal as well. They have camp season that started this week, so get in touch with them about camps, 8:30 to 2, Monday through Friday, on Facebook or Instagram at Southern Traditions Farm.
Yeah, the one thing over the course of his tenure, I still think 2009 was his best team. I think that team plays for or wins a national title if Scott Biddle doesn't get hurt. It wasn't even necessarily when Matt hit the home run in Game 1. It was Biddle's injury that took that starter away from him. Otherwise, they're the best team in the country at that point.
Yeah,
that team was better than 18, 14, or 5 in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, those weekends when Biddle was effective, they were dominant.
Yeah. That Omaha opener that night, had they made it, it would have been Ole Miss, LSU, Pomeranz versus Anthony Renato.
Yeah.
There have been a few scouts in the building that night for the 7 p.m.
For sure.
Opener.
We'll say one thing, speaking of Pomeranz, and he was so tired by the end of that Virginia. They should be – the one benefit that comes from this, and I know they did some inter squads and stuff, but they should be really rested.
Mm-hmm. I mean, legitimately.
Well, I mean, Peyton brought this up. Well, Peyton brought this up. Mississippi State did not do anything at the SEC tournament last year. They were really rested and went on a run. You look for reasons to – they're there. That team that lost to Tennessee Tech poured heart and soul into winning Hoover. Remember, I covered it.
Yeah. Losing game one. I mean, had to run through that thing.
Yeah, they expended a ton of physical and emotional energy. This team didn't. This team played one late night game in Hoover, and they got out of there. And they
were home by noon the next day.
They ought to be rested.
Yeah. Delucia needed the break.
Peyton said they played some 6-inning inter squads, but come on, nobody was grinding. No. He kind of laughed at my question, like, "Hey,
they made sure pitchers got a certain number of pitches in.
Yeah,
made sure Elliott threw off a mound. That was
it.
What they did. Hey, get some live at bats. Do not slide or dive. I'll kill you."
But he wasn't amped up.
No.
Right.
No.
So.
Yeah.
We'll see.
His heart rate will be a little higher in Miami on Saturday.
Yeah.
Potentially a big moment for him.
Sure.
As the host Canes as a freshman. I haven't heard whether Miami's holding their ace. I have no idea. They do have one really good arm.
Yeah. Boy, it's such a gamble to do it. I get it, and I think you should do it, but it's risky. Because you lose, and you're like, well, that screwed that. The whole season went down in the tubes.
You do it because the logic is completely valid of if he can't beat Canisius, he ain't beating Ole Miss.
Right.
So
sure. No,
I mean, look, it's like if Ole Miss loses on day one, I don't throw Elliott against Canisius on game two.
Nope.
Because if Derek Diamond can't beat Canisius, he's not beating Arizona the next day.
Right.
I mean,
and it doesn't. You either win the regional or you don't.
Yeah, we're not going. Hey, Mike has a lot of regional runner-ups. Banner's going up.
I'd like to hear I'd like to see the reaction to the person who went, "Hey, they did finish second, not third." And yeah, good luck. Make a run for it, bud. No, you either win the regional or you don't. You play to win the regional.
Yeah.
One team moves on. The other three teams go home. So whether you go home on Saturday or Sunday is such immaterial. Who gives a shit, frankly?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It just does not matter. You either win it or you don't. So you manage it to win it.
We didn't talk about this. Sugar Bowl moving off its day. It's a December 31st game.
Is it because it's a playoff game?
It is to avoid conflict with the Monday night NFL game.
Smart. Bow to the king.
The Sugar Bowl has a lot of attitude, and with most people, they tell them to F off. But in this one, they went out. Okay, all right.
Bow to the king. Right. When the king enters the room, bow.
Yeah, it says that is the same day as the playoffs. However, though,
so it's a playoff game too, right?
It's not a playoff game.
It's not a playoff game.
No.
Oh.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, the games begin on December 16th. Bowl games begin on December 16th, blah, blah, blah. Championship game is January 9th at SoFi in Inglewood, the Ram Stadium. College football semifinals will be held December 31st, a Saturday at the Peach and Fiesta Bowls.
What time?
Because
the Sugar Bowl's prime time.
Hold on, let's get there. Let's see what else is in the story. With January 1st falling on Sunday, the games are usually played on New Year's Day, were moved to January 2nd when the national holiday is observed. The move to Monday is common in college football to avoid conflicting with the NFL. So they already were going to move. The Sugar Bowl's issue is they were getting off the playoff days.
Sure.
So they're going to give up their day to get off the playoff. They were going to the 2nd. But then the NFL has a game on the 2nd, so they're coming back to the 31st now.
Right, but are they going to be playing at the same time as a playoff game? Or are they moving the playoff games up in the day?
I'm trying to figure it out. The Rose Bowl will be played on January 2nd anyway. They are playing it on January 2nd on ESPN and will precede a Bills-Bengals game.
Oh, so it's earlier. Not only a Monday night game, it's a damn good Monday night game.
Yeah, the last time the Sugar Bowl was played before January 1st was 95. The Orange Bowl will be played the night of December 30th. Cotton Bowl, January 2nd.
Sugar Bowl's at 11 a.m.
Oh, that's weird.
Damn, they really did surrender. Wow.
Well, I guess if you're the Sugar Bowl guy, though, and you see, okay, it's an NFL game. Yeah, we don't really need to compete with that. Is it at least like Jets somebody? Oh, yeah. No,
Bills, Bengals, and we're out.
Yeah. 11 a.m. on the 31st.
So they're the warm-up game for the playoff games.
They are. We'll have a triple header.
They'll get a massive number.
Have a triple header with the Sugar Bowl kicking it off.
Because all the kickoff shows will kick off and lead into the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
It's all sense. Good for them. I didn't know that they had it in them to make a pragmatic decision.
And the Rose Bowl got a little lucky because they can keep their slot and go straight into the night game.
Yeah, no, they're a winner in that.
Yeah.
Everybody will watch that.
You get to see the sunset, and then you go into Bengals and Bills.
Yeah. Where's that Bengals-Bills game? Is it in
Cincinnati?
Ooh.
I mean, it's hard to get better. Probably the Monday Night Football's best game of the year because the Monday Night schedule usually sucks.
That's got a chance to be a doozy of a game.
I mean, that does. That's really good. Yeah, I've got it here. Peach Bowl. Okay, so December 31st, here are our games. Yeah, Sugar Bowl, 11 o'clock, ESPN.
Yeah.
And then the semifinals at 3 and 7.
What about the Sun Bowl? We're not going to get our New Year's Eve Sun Bowl game?
Where is the Sun Bowl? Looking. Music City is also on December 31st. Sorry, I apologize. It's being played at the exact same time as the Sugar Bowl at 11 a.m.
Good luck with that.
In Nashville.
Knowing our luck.
Yeah, it's like the lottery system when both going, no Music City, no Nashville, no Nashville. Please, please, please. Am I blind? I don't even see the Sun Bowl.
They always play it on New Year's Eve.
Well, it is not being played on New Year's Eve.
Huh.
That is not correct.
How about that?
Is the Tampa Bay Bowl something that was already a thing, or did somebody change the name?
I think that's the Outback Bowl.
That's the Outback Bowl now?
Mm-hmm.
They're just the Tampa Bay Bowl?
I think Outback is
out.
Took their blooming onion and went home.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Birmingham Bowl is in Birmingham on December 27th.
Okay.
You want to mark your calendars today?
I'll mark my calendar for something I hope I'm not at.
It's day of, right?
Oh, for sure.
If at all.
Maybe you go over there for the big presser, and then no.
The Sun Bowl is now December 30th.
Okay.
Friday, December 30th, 2022.
Okay. Still 2:30 in the afternoon.
It's in 213 days and 2.5 hours from now. So no, it is a noon kickoff.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'll probably watch.
It's an ACC Pac-12 game.
Yeah.
There's that. Yeah.
I don't have anything against Nashville, Ginger. I just don't want to be covering a game
during the Sugar Bowl
on the playoff day, unless the team I'm covering is in the playoff.
Who's the Sugar Bowl team in the SEC this year?
Ooh. I would tell you it was either Ole Miss, Kentucky, or Arkansas.
Not A&M. Because remember, this is the winner that's not in the playoff.
For some reason, I just don't think it's A&M.
So you think they fall off then? Because you've got Georgia and Bama in the playoff.
Yeah.
So you think it's, again, the number 3 SEC team?
Yeah. I don't think I put Texas A&M ahead of those teams. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. People are asking me to really believe in Haynes King.
Mm-hmm.
What did I see? I mean, for example, if you told me today I can have Haynes King or Will Levis, who do I want? I want Levis.
Yeah, sure.
If you told me today I can have Haynes King or I can have KJ Jefferson, well, KJ proved himself last year. There are limitations, sure, but he's working with Bryles again. Bryles knows his limitations. KJ put up good numbers last year. Mm-hmm. If you tell me I can have Haynes King or the Ole Miss guys, I'm like, okay, well, now I've got some thinking to do. Because none of them are proven. But we're doing this deal with A&M because of NIL.
Yeah, sure.
And they're all freshmen. Now, they're really talented freshmen, but they're freshmen. $30 seconds or less. Warriors or Celtics, and how many games? I hope I'm wrong. It's Warriors in 7. I will tell you
in
this.
7.
I started to write this in 10 thoughts, and then I didn't because I think people would have said I was writing for myself. The Warriors making it back to the finals is an absolute indictment on Kevin Durant.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah.
It's an indictment on Kevin Durant. It shows you that they were fine without Kevin Durant.
His legacy, frankly, is going to be pretty bad relative to his talent.
Yes. It almost negates those 2 titles because it shows you he was just an extra.
He wasn't a requirement.
He was just, yeah, sure, throw the lobster on. Why not?
He's Chris Bosh.
I mean, I don't know that
he's a fancy Chris Bosh.
I don't know that the Heat win without Chris Bosh. And so now you have, in fact, the Heat don't win without Chris Bosh. The Heat don't beat the Thunder in 12 without Chris Bosh. Warriors didn't need Kevin Durant. They're fine. Andrew Wiggins is Kevin Durant. Playing his ass off, by the way. Another reason you don't give up on a player after 2 years in the NBA. Sometimes they actually develop.
Yeah, sure.
But Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green were a championship unit without Kevin Durant. And now they're a championship unit without Kevin Durant again. And it's a knock on Kevin Durant.
Sure. So, fascinating. That starts when?
I think it's Thursday night's game 1.
Okay. Thursday game 1.
I'll go Warriors in 7.
Okay.
I will say this: the Celtics, the way that they've gotten there it's the poster child for organizational stability. Oh. It's the poster child for building a culture of team and defense, and it should motivate a lot of NBA franchises.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what shakes out of SEC meetings. They're in all day today. I know ADs have a pretty busy week. They're doing today and tomorrow, and it kind of slacks off. I think football is doing today and tomorrow, maybe.
I think so.
That's right.
It's usually what happens.
Yeah, something like that. So we'll have whatever comes out of that over the course of the day. There are actually some Rivals people there, so we can get some stuff from them. And much more. We'll talk more baseball, again, heading into Friday, 6 o'clock. Again, Miami and Canisius is the early game. Some places do this because they get more rest, and if they don't have huge crowds, what difference does it make? Play the early game.
Sure.
So Miami Canisius at like 1, 2, and
noon.
then noon. Okay, There you go. And then 6 o'clock for Ole Miss and Arizona. So that's coming up. You going to see Top Gun in the theater? What are you going to do?
At some point, yeah.
Okay. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good day. Take care.